welcome to the morning show with me, Activist for Truth. This morning's topic, the idiotic plan to test twice weekly for COVID. On the face of it, it seems like a good idea, but, and there is always a but, in my opinion, and I'm by no means alone in this view, all twice weekly testing will actually achieve is scaremongering and yet further lives ruined unnecessarily and yet further economic damage to the public purse strings when debt and borrowing are already at historic peacetime levels. Yet again, as normality seems just around the corner, the government moved the goalposts in what is rapidly becoming a comedy of errors. Firstly, we have to look at the reliability of the tests being offered. The PCR test produces, at a conservative estimate, a false positive in 0.1% of cases, although research carried out by Oxford University and Porton Down put the false positives at a much higher 0.32 to 0.39%. But for the sake of argument, let's stick to the 0.1% of cases. Whilst this sounds like a tiny figure, let's look at that percentage in real terms. In every 1 million tests, that 0.1% would result in 1,000 false positives. That's not too bad, some might say. But if the government are successful in testing twice weekly the entire population, that would equate to 120,000 false positives a week. That's 120,000 people being forced into what is effectively house arrest. 120,000 people not able to earn a living, and the mental health effects of lockdown are already there for all to see. And if the percentage is closer to 0.39%, then that's 500,000 people receiving false positives every week. Then there's the cost to the country. Consider at a low price to the government, say £5 a test, twice weekly, the cost would exceed 1 billion a month, at a time when economically the public purse strings are already stretched to breaking point. The effect this would have on the morale of the nation would be devastating. People would believe that there was no end in sight, and hope would undoubtedly fade. This harebrained, unnecessary idea must be scrapped and scrapped immediately. The country cannot and should not continue to operate in this perpetual cycle of doom and gloom. For the sake of us all, it's time to get back to normal, to get the country and economy moving again. It's time for loved ones and friends to meet and indeed hug and laugh and live. It's time to stop living in fear created by exaggerated figures and sensationalised headlines. It's time to tell the so-called experts to sit down and shut up. It's time to stop relying on guesswork from computers. It's time to tell the scaremongers, the press, and those looking to financially benefit, having not let a good crisis go to waste, that enough is enough. With or without their permission, we are moving on with our lives. And that's all for this morning. Watch out for a special later today when I will be addressing probably the most nonsensical term I have ever heard: historical trauma. You will be safe out there. If you can't be safe, win.